Welcome back to the Vera House podcast. My name is Perri Young.
My name is Myke Metzger.
And today we get into some interesting things. First, and notably, if you can tell, we are not in the Vera House studio. We are actually in an undisclosed location because of some things that are transpiring at the studio that were beyond our control. We definitely get into that. We also get into a story that I came across on the Richmonder about people that thought it was totally cool to just dump toxic waste in and around Richmond and Henrico, and they thought that they could get away with it. It's kind of crazy. The pictures are insane. You'll get a kick out of it. And I go on a little bit of a rant, as I do from time to time, about traffic, how I think it's going, which is worse, and what I think you and just people at large can do to be just a little bit better at it. What else we get into?
We want more tolls.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
tolls.
Exactly.
Today we got into some fun stuff, but not before talking about everybody's increasing power bill. So we shed some light into why that might be happening, which ultimately trails off into data centers and stuff, and just really trying to shed some light, pull back the curtain on like, why is this happening? Yeah, literally. Why is this happening? And then we also get into AI, the big no-no topic. Ooh, artificial intelligence. We're transhumans. It's super intelligence. What are we going to do? Is it for good? Is it for evil? We don't know. Who knows? It's, we have no idea. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Tune in, enjoy the show. If you are a local business owner or a local brand and you have an interest in sponsoring this show, or if you have an interest in us promoting your event or coming to your event or being a part of anything that you have going on, maybe you have a launch coming up, maybe you've seen some of the work that we've done with Goodwill or Sports Backers or James River Air or NASCAR and the Richmond Raceway. These are all local brand collaborations. We would love to invite you to work with us. All you have to do, if that's something that sounds interesting, is email us at hello@verahouse.co. Enjoy the show.
So we're in a new studio.
Yeah.
We just got it delivered from Amazon. Took us about 2 hours to set up. The instructions were in Chinese, but it looks good. And I think it works for us.
It does. It does the trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technically, it took 10 years for it to be delivered. But here it is.
Yeah. 10 years for you to get it into this situation.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, we are in a different studio other than the studio that we normally record in, otherwise known as Vera House Studios. I don't know. Does this studio have a name? I guess I'm putting you on the spot now.
Yeah. I've never thought about it. No, maybe it should have a name.
It should.
Yeah.
They got Shangri-La. You've got, I'll pick another studio.
You have a good point, actually. You have a very good point.
Because you spend a lot of time here. This is where a lot of your work and your most precious projects get done. And a lot of people have names for the studios.
Yeah.
There's Magic City, and I think it's in Atlanta, which is like Yin Yang Twins.
Yep.
I think there's like, maybe it's Blue Lightning or Blue something.
Yeah.
The Yin Yang Twins studio down in Atlanta. Rick Rubin's studio is
Shangri-La. Yeah.
You got to name your studio.
Okay. I shall do that. And I guess we'll see if we record here again next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll have a name by then.
Yeah, yeah.
So if nobody's caught on yet, we are sitting in my house in my office.
Yeah. I mean, the office that turned out to be a really nice podcast studio.
Yeah. It's a good pinch hitter.
Yeah. We were just saying, you're looking at it on the camera and you're like, man, I never realized that this is like such a good podcast studio. But yes, it's like very useful.
Wow. Turns out the YouTube studio that I wanted to build is a YouTube studio.
Yeah. You just never use it as a YouTube studio. You looked at me and you're like looking at one of the camera angles. I was like, man, I don't know why I never thought to put the camera right there.
Yeah.
Until right now.
Yeah. Well, basically where you're sitting, so that chair is always there. And I have a camera, of course, right there that is always pointed at me when I'm on my Zoom calls right here. And I don't know. Yeah, it sounds silly to think about, but I've never really considered that basically right behind it is the same angle, So maybe it's just the lens or something. I'll have to change it up and see what we can make happen.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's important to know we are still in Richmond proper. we are in the Caroline area. I'm not
Yeah.
going to give away any more than that, but still very much in the Richmond area, actually not too far from where Vera House is over in Carytown.
Yeah.
And the reason that we're here is because of a series of unfortunate events. I'm pretty sure that's the name of a movie. But it started with a water leak in the bathroom, and that quickly escalated to a hole in the bathroom ceiling. That escalated to some guys coming out to clear out the damaged or water damaged walls in the ceiling, which led to them finding more water damage and mold. And the mold investigation led to them finding asbestos.
Yeah.
And we're currently in a holding pattern as we wait for the asbestos guys to come in and do their thing to make sure that the studio is, not a hazardous waste, toxic waste site.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And that explains why we're here.
Yes. It's so fun. It's so fun, and it's worth saying, thank you to everybody for their patience and stuff. It's not like anybody's just sitting around all day waiting to listen to the Vera House podcast.
I don't know, man. I like to think and, optimistically think that there are people that are super jazzed and wait for the next episode to drop. And to those people, I say, from the both of us, we are sorry.
Yeah.
It wasn't our fault, but we're sorry.
No, of course. No. And there are definitely people that enjoy the show, but we've been posting a little bit less frequently on Instagram. I think our last episode was 2 weeks ago instead of a week ago. We're going to turn around this episode really quickly, but yeah, we've been spontaneously trying to figure things out. And this is our solution this week. And, it's a pretty damn good one. It's a good spot to be. It could be a lot worse.
It could be. I mean, if by chance this isn't where we record next week, obviously stay tuned to see where we end up.
Yeah.
Because until we get other notice, we're studioless, houseless, but studioless.
Yeah.
And when Mike's having a party at his house and, the office isn't available, we're going to have to find somewhere else to do it.
Exactly.
So stay tuned for, maybe some exotic locations that include, but not limited to outdoors, the park, public areas. I mean, we might even do a remote if we get a wild hair.
Well, there's those two guys that you've sent me a bunch of their clips where they set up like a podcast in the park or like in the city, like on a bench, and it looks fantastic. Like it's very well done.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to experiment and give that a try.
I mean, I'm down.
It would be fun.
It would be kind of fun. I mean, if you think it would be cool to see Vera House pop-up podcast in the park, in the street, at a public event, shoot us a message.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make it happen. I mean, that's how we got the NASCAR thing going.
Yeah, very true.
We just kind of, chopping it up and kind of casually tossing that idea back and forth. And it became a reality.
Yeah.
So I think that could be cool.
It definitely could be. Not to talk about the cliche thing, which is of course always the weather. But I think it's like storming outside at the moment, or off and on. And the rain has just been insane this past week. I feel like it's just, and maybe it's just been the past few weeks. It's like every time it's time to cut the grass, I'm like, oh, you have one day where it's not raining. And I'm like, I'm going to cut the grass. And then it just ends up raining.
Yeah.
So my backyard is like a jungle at the moment because I just haven't had an opportunity to cut the grass. And so I thought we would make a jungle in here too. We got our plants.
Yeah, we got some plants going.
We got our plants. Yeah. These are all real. These are real plants.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's a real one behind you. Actually, the one on the very top is not real, but all the other ones are real.
I mean, I think it's great. I love these like ivy plants. Yeah. And then I think I used to have one of those, the kind of viney plant.
Oh yeah, the Monstera.
But
those are nice.
I had a pothos before.
Yeah.
Actually, the pothos that I had, this is not a plant podcast. The pothos that I had lasted forever.
Yeah.
Literally could not kill it.
Yep.
I forgot about it. I didn't water it for too long. I moved multiple like houses with different lightings in it. It didn't die.
Yeah.
It was like barely hanging on, but it was still there.
Some of them are like that, dude.
Yeah.
I think this is like some sort of pathos type thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a good vibe. The weather, as we're talking about it, admittedly, I'm a little frustrated. I'm a summertime guy. We're both summer babies, both June birthdays. We like the summer. You have AC, so you can withstand it. The weather has been frustrating. It's been really hot and really humid, which I'm going to complain about it until it gets cold. And then I'm going to start complaining about the fact that it's cold. Just deal with it. Like that's just how it's going to be. It's really hot, really humid, which I don't mind because I like the sunshine. I really just don't like cloudy, gloomy days. But we've got that summertime rotation going where it's clear skies and like zero, like the forecast is like 30% chance of rain, but it doesn't say when. It's always at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, right about now. A storm just rolls through really quickly, dumps 2 inches of rain, and then it's done.
Yep.
Which is, I think it's cool because it's very different than like the rainy season in the beginning of the year. Like springtime was kind of rainy, but it like rains for like 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. We got like that tropical Florida weather, like that Orlando weather.
Yeah.
But what it has done is convenience me. All right. Let me rephrase that. It has inconvenienced me in a way that I kind of have to plan for, I would say expect, but it's still just a bummer every single time it happens.
Yeah.
I had a rooftop party planned a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it didn't call for rain, or it was calling for like a 30% chance. 30% chance is enough that the show can still go on.
Yeah.
So it's all systems go. Me and my buddy Henry were going to the rooftop to pack up or to unload all the gear and get everything set up. And on the roof, we can see for distance. We see clouds like this, the darkness is encroaching. And then I'm getting text from friends. Hey, is it still happening? It looks like it might rain. And I'm on the roof and it's clear, it's sunny, but the storm is right there.
No.
And I checked the radar. It's looking like it might miss us. We were going to give it another hour. It ends up like starting to lightning like in the neighborhood of where we are. So we had to call it. We had to cancel the show.
Sucks. That sucks.
It does suck. To anyone who has, who RSVP'd, who bought a ticket, who planned on coming to the high frequency rooftop event at the Graduate a couple weeks ago, sorry, we had to cancel. It was due to weather. However, we did reschedule. The makeup date for the rooftop party is Saturday, September 5th. And if you don't know about it, it's a rooftop party that I started a couple of years ago. I now do it with my buddy Henry. He's a DJ, goes by Riffa. And it's house music on the roof. And the Graduate has recently expanded their rooftop area. So like we have a huge dance area, huge dance floor. And it's one of the biggest rooftops in the city. We do it from 8 to 12. Tickets are $12. And you can find all that info and the ticket link on my personal page, my DJ page, Mass FX Music on Instagram, and at High Frequency RVA on Instagram as well. So that's my shameless plug about the rooftop party.
Yeah. Well, I will be there.
I love it.
I was pumped to be there when it got canceled. I was like, no.
Yeah. I was up there like waiting for maybe the rain would like just miss us.
Yeah.
And me and like the bartender, we're kind of like waiting. And like the lightning is getting a little closer. We can see it raining in like a Willow Lawn area, but it's moving to the side.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll miss us and it'll clear up. And we're like, all right, we'll give it another like 20 minutes. And it starts like lightning, like the buildings around us were getting struck by lightning. We're like, all right, we're wrapping this up.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
Yeah. No, I remember thinking like you waited as long as you could.
I did.
You know? Yeah, that's a bummer, but that's all right. Gives it another opportunity to have fun. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's hard for me to like muster up the strength to go out and be social sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And I was ready to go. And then it started raining. I was like, no.
Yeah, well, we got you. We got another day coming up. It'll
Take
be
two.
Another reason for you to put on shoes and leave the house.
Exactly. Yeah. Can't just spend all my days here. Well, another thing that's frustrating for people about this weather is their power bills, right? Because there's so much moisture in the air that everybody's AC is running like hardcore overtime. And of course, with how much we've learned lately about air conditioning, which by the way, if people didn't see this, we released a vlog a few weeks ago with James River Air Conditioning, and you can learn a lot from it. So if you're a homeowner or even a renter, be sure to go check that out on our YouTube channel. The video is titled, I survived 102 degrees Fahrenheit inside my Virginia home. Go take a look at it. You'll learn a lot about how to save some money on your air conditioning bill and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, moving on, you know, there's so many things happening with Dominion Energy and people's power bills, and like even, Richmond Department of Public Utilities, like overbilling people. And like, there's just a lot of sketchiness going on with like the world of Richmond and Central Virginia utilities at the moment. And somebody made a really good thread on Nextdoor, kind of like summarizing their observation of what's happened over the past couple of years. Something appears seriously wrong with Dominion Energy Virginia's billing. For years, my budget billing amount was about $287 a month. Last year, it increased to $407. This year, it increased again to $507. That is a 76.7% increase, or $2,640 more per year. Dominion recently told customers that the July 1st fuel adjustment would add about $8 per month for a typical household. However, many customers are reporting much larger increases. So that fee, we actually talked about that like a little over a month ago on the podcast of like, oh, they're just going to charge an extra $10 to make up for some other BS or whatever. Right. Examples from local residents include budget billing increasing from $219 to $336. Another account increasing from $249 to $427. One customer used less electricity than the entire year prior, but still paid more. And several customers reported that their budget billing amount doubled. So it says these comments do not prove fraud or illegal billing, but they do raise serious questions that Dominion and the Virginia State Corporation Commission should investigate. I agree. Mm-hmm. Dominion should provide every affected customer with a complete explanation showing actual monthly usage, base rates, fuel charges, taxes and fees, beginning and ending budget billing balances, all this other stuff, right? And there was a person who made a really great video just also kind of probing into some of the sketchy things that Dominion does. And I think people are just fed up with it, man. Like with the data center thing and the water conservation thing, and now the Dominion Energy power bill thing, and the Richmond Department of Public Utilities like changing their billing system so that people couldn't pay their bills, but then they're paying fees for not paying their bills, even though it was impossible to pay their bill. Yeah. Like, dude, I even mailed a check to the DPU and they didn't take it.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's like, what's going on, man? So I just want to watch this video real quick because I thought it was interesting.
Virginia is the data center capital of the world, and Dominion Energy is responsible for the largest data center market in the entire world right here in Virginia. Now, NextEra's potential acquisition of Dominion Energy could create the largest regulated utility in the entire world. This is a massive $67 billion decision that could impact literally generations of Virginians' energy consumption, Virginians' energy costs, and Virginia's environment. It is important that you speak up, submit a public comment. You have until early November to submit a public comment. Please click the link in our caption below where you can fill out a form and submit your public comment on this acquisition. You can all
Right. So all the dates are listed there where people can go and, participate in these public comments and public hearings. So you get the idea, right? Yeah. It's just like, dude, not to bang on about the government corruption and taxes all the time, but it is, man. It's frustrating. Like people are sitting here and they're like, look, I'm being billed an extra $50, $100, $200 on my power bill that's being provided by a company that's getting billions of dollars in tax breaks, but they're charging us more. And so it's like, I don't know. Is this really about conservation and the environment and all this stuff? Or is it really about data centers and making money and maximizing profit? It's like, I think everybody knows the answer.
What do you think?
Yeah. And so it's unfortunate because one thing we can't control is the weather. And of course, like we live in a humid place. And so the AC unit right on the other side of this window is cranking hard because it has to remove all the moisture from the air. Yeah. And of course, that means your power bill is higher, so it's like, we got enough to deal with, there's enough that Virginians and Richmonders are dealing with when like paying their power bills, and it's like, we cannot trust that anybody really knows what's going on. And it's very frustrating. And if anybody would like to work with us, if you feel like you're in alignment with what we're talking about, you want your business to be seen, you want it to be more visible. Of course, we're talking about locally here in Richmond. Everything that Perri and I love is about Richmond, and it's this place where we live. we take the perspective of like, we try to be a tourist in our own city and like learn something new, do new things. And this podcast has really just been a tool to do that. So we talk about things that we like, that we love, that we're interested in, some things that we don't like and that we don't love. But we like to think that we mix it up, we keep it fun. And if anybody, you know, is in alignment with the type of work that we do, they want to be seen, they want to be more visible, you want to sponsor the show, you want us to come check out your thing, you want us to come to your event, all you got to do is send us an email at hello@verahouse.co.
The people that are pulling the strings, at least the ones at the top in some of these organizations, are fully aware that there is confusion around what's going on, mass confusion. And I'm sure, even if it's going out on a limb, that they would prefer it that way. Now, I do really appreciate like citizen journalists that go out of their way to find out the details of a story to inform people in their community. It's great. You know, we can't always depend on news outlets because they may be a little biased. You know, I think the local news does a pretty good job of reporting the story as it unfolds, but they don't weigh in on it. Right? They're not going to voice an opinion. They're not going to say you should sign up for this or you should oppose that. That's not their job, which is good. It's just the news. You just need the information and it's up to you to decide what to do with it.
Yeah.
But someone like him who's going out of his way to kind of make a point, but also using the information that he's got, the facts as they are, and being a fellow Richmond or Virginia, resident, to contextualize it so that it makes sense for you to like pay more attention, which I think is good. I will say, after having said all that, being blissfully unaware is how I've gone about approaching a lot of these. It is becoming harder and harder to do that.
Right.
You know, well, for one, especially being friends with you. I'm not the one looking this crap up. Like, you're the one that's like, have you heard about this? Your house is going to melt down next week. And I'm like,
yeah,
nah, man, I was going to go to the beach next week.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and two things are true, right? Like, part of it is because I very much hate control, you know, and, it sucks to live in a world where everyone's trying to control everything you do sometimes. And that's annoying. But aside from that, it's also true that we've covered it many times, but yeah, you got to pay attention to things much more than you used to have to, right? I went a long time without even like looking at my bank account and stuff. And it's like, you don't even have to worry about it. You know, as long as you're in a good position, it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about it. But we do, like, in an age of AI and like with an age of technology and all this crazy stuff, you got to pay attention to what's going on with your stuff, right? Like, you had the fake whatever try to call you and scam you for the ATM thing, right? I'm sitting here
crazy.
Right. I'm sitting here worried about, wait, is my computer getting hacked into? Like, what's going on, you know? And we live in an age of information, but an age of like rapidly developing technology. Yeah. And it's moving very fast, right? Like, especially people that are our parents' age and our grandparents' age.
Oh, they're cooked.
Oh, dude. I mean, they're so potentially at risk for so many things because it is scarily, is that a word?
Yeah, scarily.
It is scarily easy to just like make a voice of somebody you know and have that voice call a family member and say, oh my God, I'm in an emergency. I need help. Can you just Apple Pay me whatever? Can you send it to my friend's phone? Like, that's very easy to do, like insanely easy to do. Now, of course, you know, if you're a noob, you're easily going to get caught doing that and go to jail. But there are people who are not noobs and they know what they're doing and they're very advanced. And yeah, that stuff is happening all the time. And their entire life is dedicated to making money that way through scamming people, hacking into their phones. People put these little card reader things on the gas pumps, right? They just fit right over top of the regular Apple Pay, and you tap your phone on it and boom, they've got your card information. Yeah. So, you know, I never want it to seem like a fear mongering thing, but knowledge is power. And it's like, people should be aware of these things. It's like, no, don't let it consume you and drive you crazy, but people should be aware of this stuff. You know, it's like you should be able to trust your local power company to not be screwing you. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I don't really know, to be honest, but I think more and more as each passing, you know, year goes by, people are getting a weird feeling about a lot of the stuff that's going on with these things. Yeah, man, I tend to agree. And like I said, definitely being friends with you or being friends with somebody who is more tapped in is going to benefit you in the long run. Because it's not my nature to go and find these things out. Like I said, blissfully unaware is kind of how I've been going about a lot of it.
But again, it's becoming harder and harder to do that. And to your point, knowledge is power. And when I think I don't know what's going on, I definitely go and find out.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm suspicious about something, I'll get in there and I'll look up what I can find out. Now, am I going to commit hours and hours to discovering every little nook and cranny of the story? If it doesn't directly affect me, probably not.
Yeah.
But it's always good to kind of know what's happening. So it doesn't surprise you when you get a letter in the mail that says, hey, you can't use Apple Pay. We stopped partnering with digital payment services. You now have to pay us in crypto or whatever the F.
Yeah.
Right. Like it won't be a surprise because you kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're kind of getting at. It's like, just have your head on a swivel to a degree.
Yeah. And dude, similar to yourself, I never cared about this stuff before. Like, I didn't grow up in a political household. I didn't, and I'm not even, I wouldn't even say that I'm political. Like I'm not, I don't even believe in politics really. Like, I think it's all kind of BS, to be honest. But it is important to like pay attention to what's going on around you. Right. But I used to never care about any of this stuff. Like literally probably up until like COVID and like 2020 and all the crazy stuff that was going on. And actually what ended up happening to me was when that Cambridge Analytica stuff was going on, my Facebook account got hacked. And, I run a marketing agency. So all of my clients' ad accounts were managed from my Facebook business manager. And so all these people's accounts were getting hacked because Meta had this massive security breach back in 2020. They had this whole Cambridge Analytica thing going on. And I was like, wait, what happened? And then I started to dig into it. And turns out like Meta basically opened the door for this whole thing to happen. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. And yeah, it just makes you realize that these big companies, they're not your friend. They're not your friend. They're not looking out for you. That's for sure. So it's like, you got to look out for yourself. You really do. It's like, you got to know what you're doing. You got to pay attention to your passwords. You got to be smart, know how to use your devices, understand your payment information and where it's at. And just like overall, be careful, be capable, put on your thinking cap.
Yeah. Put on your thinking cap, do your best. But what missed a lot of other people?
What?
Was that there were dozens of toxic waste drums dumped all around Henrico County. And no one knew where they came from.
Like, what do you mean they don't know where they came from?
They didn't know.
Like they were just random all over the place?
They just appeared one day or 1 week. This was back in 2023.
Like all in the same place or just like scattered?
They were scattered. They were all over.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's a picture of like what that looked like. And this is like in the back of someone's neighborhood.
Yeah.
In the bushes. Like, wow. Just if you're like listening, you're not watching, just imagine like a cartoonish toxic waste drum.
Yeah, like a 55-gallon drum.
55-gallon drum. That's exactly what these are.
Wow.
So in the spring of 2023, dozens of 55-gallon barrels oozing unidentified red and white substance turned up in neighborhoods around Richmond and Henrico County. The sight was so unnerving that in one case it led to a homicide team being called out. The fear was unfounded, but ultimately more than 80 barrels were found across 15 sites.
Wow.
11 were dumped in Cornelius Creek in Henrico, 18 near the railroad tracks in Fulton Hill, and a staggering 43 in a residential park in Highland Park.
43?
43. Like, look at this. This is like in the back of somebody's neighborhood.
Wow.
So 3 years later, two men, Roscoe Morton and Dwayne Vaney, had pled guilty to conspiring to dispose of hazardous waste and have been ordered to pay more than $100,000 in restitution, most of which goes to the state to cover the cost of cleaning up the spills. Morton, whom investigators say was the ringleader of the operation, is facing 2 years in jail. The case against a third man, Wayne Couvrez Jr., has not been concluded after Couvrez failed to show up at the regular court hearing. Yeah, dude, like this is kind of crazy. Like these two dudes just conspired to get rid of all this toxic waste, and all they did was dump it on all these sites across Virginia.
And so now they just pled guilty and are probably getting sentenced.
Yeah, so they pled guilty, and
what was it?
They have been sentenced to this $100 restitution repayment, and one of them is facing 2 years in jail. This was also in 2023.
Yeah,
so a couple years.
I feel like that's not much. Like $100,000 and 2 years in jail for that. Like it's
kind of a slap on the wrist.
I would have expected it to be a lot worse.
According to Inara Carlos of the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, the materials in the barrels and drums that were dumped turned out to be ingredients used to manufacture cosmetics and personal care products, including petroleum-based materials and dyes, all as well as hazardous materials. Think about cosmetics and makeup and things that make up soaps and moisturizers. You read the ingredients on those bottles or those containers.
Yeah.
Most of them you can't even pronounce.
Right.
And that's what this stuff was.
That's crazy.
Yeah. As a result, they went all over Metro Richmond and Henrico, started dumping these chemicals. So according to Finn, Morden hired a number of people to rent a U-Haul in Henrico U-Hauls in Henrico that were driven to North Carolina to collect the barrels. The barrels then returned to the Richmond area. But when they attempted to drop the waste off at the Shoesmith, I'm not sure what Shoesmith is, or other dumps in the region, all the facilities refused to take it because it presents a hazardous materials. So as a result, they just went all over Richmond and dumped them wherever they could.
People are so stupid, dude. It's like all you had to do was think about this for a single minute.
It's like just the thought, right? You get hired to go down and pick up this hazardous waste. You go to North Carolina to pick it up. You come back to Richmond or to Virginia because there are some dumps. There's some dump sites here.
Yeah.
And they say, no, we can't take it because it's hazardous. Your next thought is just to leave it in the alley somewhere?
Yeah.
Clearly it was around 100 barrels, 55-gallon drums. These are not small or easily to move. So you're driving multiple U-Haul trucks around the city and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, I'll just throw it in the bush.
That's ridiculous because it's like, okay, your first thought would be like, all right, I'm just going to drop these somewhere. But then your second thought would be, well, surely they're going to be found, right? And anybody with half a brain would realize, and I mean, I guess these people don't even have half a brain, right? Because you would realize, well, yeah, we just went to a dump and just clearly showed them what we had and asked them, hey, can you take this? Or we tried to enter and dump it and they said no. So it's like, yeah, the first thing an investigator is going to do is go around to all the dumping sites and say, hey, did anybody show up with 100 barrels of sludge? And they'll be like, oh yeah, they did. They're right here on our security camera. And it's like, oh, okay, we got them.
It's kind of nuts.
You and I could have figured out who did it. Like that's ridiculous,
nuts.
Dude.
And to the credit, this is from the richmonder.org. And it looks like it was written by Sarah Vogelson, if I'm saying your name right. Sorry, Sarah. But yeah, man, I do like coming across stories like this because it just makes me think, like, what were they thinking? Like, I know what I would do. I would call someone who knew if I didn't know. I would ask questions if I didn't know. What I wouldn't do is leave it in someone's alley, oozing from the lids. Like,
it's ridiculous.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 15 of these barrels. Some of them opened in the alley of what looks like a fan house.
Yeah.
Or like somewhere in Northside.
Well, it's not like that was a 2-minute job, right?
No.
Like who knows how long it took to stick all those there.
And then, it's probably been sitting there for a few days because the neighbors are probably like, well, maybe somebody's coming back to get this crap. Maybe it's like a construction company or something.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. I saw that and yeah, I thought it was a little interesting little nug of just more of the same willful ignorance. And this leads me to something else that is near and dear to my heart. And I feel like I owe it to you and to, the people at large to express my frustrations with the traffic.
Yeah.
Specifically, the people in the cars driving in said traffic.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
Substantially worse.
That's why I don't drive, dude.
I know.
I just stay here.
Or you ride your bicycle.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone who I drive a lot back and forth across town, not crazy drives. I'm going to drive a long distance tomorrow, but that's a rare occurrence. So I'm mostly driving within the city limits. I have a spotless driving record. I like to think that I'm a good driver. I like to think that I'm paying attention to what's going on. And I'm intentional about how I go about driving. I'm driving in my lane. I'm doing the speed limit or over just because some of the speed limits are erroneous and you should be going faster. I'm paying attention to the traffic laws, specifically the ones that make sense, maybe the ones that don't get overlooked. And I'm always scanning for what other people are doing. because there are other people on the road and you can't always anticipate what somebody's going to do.
Yeah.
You can really only control what you can do. So it's also your responsibility to kind of anticipate other people's actions. And I have a note on our list of things to talk about. I learned how to do that by taking a motorcycle license safety course.
Yeah.
I would urge everyone, because it's not required after you get your license, you just renew it. One, I would urge everyone to at least entertain the idea of taking another DMV driver safety course. But moreover, at least read up on the rider safety course for motorcycle licensing. One of the most valuable things that I learned in that class was to turn your head when you turn. So, you lean with your body. So you turn your head and you lean the bike. But the other thing was to watch, to avoid other people. Because as a motorcycle rider, a lot of people can't see you. Yep. Even if your bike is loud, they don't know where you're coming from. So you can't expect people to get out of your way or to avoid hitting you. It's your job to avoid getting hit. And I think people don't think about that when they're in their car because they're entitled to being in a car.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they must see me. I don't know why they would do that. I'm clearly here. Well, if you stopped for 2 seconds, took another second to look at which direction they're facing, and then look inside the car and see that they're not looking at you at all, they're most likely looking at their phone.
Yeah.
Then maybe you wouldn't have such a hard time, and maybe drivers would just be a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's just my rant on driving.
Well, this is why you and I are yin and yang, right? Because now when it comes to motorcycles, I do pay very close attention to motorcycles. Number one, because I've been hit. I used to ride motorcycles, and then eventually I was like, all right, I'm done, because it was just too many close calls. And then I also lost my uncle in a motorcycle accident. So he died in a motorcycle accident. So I'm always very careful, specifically when it comes to motorcycles. Now, when you're in a car, it's a little different story. And I'm guilty. I'm like, dude, I'm red-handed. Because I drive what I call the cram mobile, right? And I'm the opposite. I'm the person who, I'll give you an example. I was driving home from getting groceries one day. I'm in the left lane on Main Street, going the speed limit, by the way. There's a car in the right lane, like a little Kia or Hyundai or something. Almost at a dead stop in the middle of the road with its left blinker on. And I'm driving on the road. I'm like, surely this person isn't just going to turn in front of me, right? And so if I were to, follow the safety guidance, it would be, well, avoid whatever this person is going to do. And slow down and avoid, approach with caution. Well, I don't approach with caution, I'm like, if you turn in front of me, dude, I'm going to drive over the top of your car. And that's actually exactly what happened. And that person anticipated me to stop, and I wasn't stopping because, I don't know, stopping's not my thing. It's just not my thing. And I'm open to the idea that I'm part of the problem. However, I think I was born in New York, by the way. So I like to bring some of that New York aggression. You got to bully some of these people, dude, because they just take too long. It's like, why is everyone going so slow? Get the hell out of the way. So
yeah.
Like I said, I'm red-handed. I apologize in advance, but this is why I only drive 2 minutes at a time and I don't go anywhere because I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to your point, I agree with you that, yeah, sometimes you do have to drive. I don't want to call it aggressively. I would say drive spiritedly.
I like that.
With
spirited.
purpose.
Yeah. Because aggressive makes it sound like I have road rage or something.
Right.
It's actually probably the opposite. And then people are going to be like, wow, he's a sociopath. But I just drive with no emotion and I'm like, move, beep.
Yeah. Well, you drive a car that unless you do that. Four-wheel drive, it's lifted, it's a truck. Yeah, you're good.
Like when I'm on the road, I don't ever actually get mad. I don't really get bothered by much. I'm just not my problem. It's it's time for you to move.
Yeah.
And when it's time because I'm going to let you know.
Yeah, man. I've been checking myself, but I've been noticing that I'm more frustrated recently with traffic. And it might be because I'm paying more attention to it and I'm realizing what the problem is.
Well, I think something like 30,000 people have moved here in, I forget the time frame, but I was just talking about this or maybe it was the Valentine actually, when we were at the Valentine.
Yeah.
She said that I think 30,000 people have moved here since like 2024 or something, or something crazy like that.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, don't cite me on that because I don't know what year she said from. But basically the point is a lot of people are moving here, and we say this over and over again, but yeah, we're not like really a big city. So we don't have like the highway infrastructure to really accommodate a ton of vehicles. Now they're working on it, because they're pulling out all of those cash tolls and everything is all dystopian, like all these bright LED lights now shining into your car, scanning your license plate and all that stuff.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Maybe hate's a strong word, but like it's so unnerving.
Yeah.
I go through these tolls or like the toll section. I have an Easy Pass and I got an Easy Pass because I didn't want to stop at tolls. I kept having to get on the highway. No problem with tolls. Tolls are fine.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Pay tolls.
In theory, you pay the toll,
right?
And that is supposed to pay for the highway. And when the highway is paid for, no more tolls.
Yep.
I've only seen that happen one time.
Yeah.
I've been in Richmond my whole life. I don't remember what highway it was, but there was a toll that we were paying for. And I remember distinctly that they just removed it.
Yeah.
Because the highway was finished and it had been paid for. I was like, this is a great system, right? The city spends millions of dollars to improve the infrastructure to make it easy for people to traverse the city. And they ask you for 25 cents over the course of 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever. And that's supposed to offset the cost. Sounds like a fair deal to me. And when you're done, remove the toll. I can only think of tolls that have been added.
Yeah.
Not because the things aren't being paid for, because now they're using them for something else.
I mean, I feel confident saying a toll will probably never be removed ever again. You remember I showed you the picture of the cow.
Mm. Oh yeah.
That's it, dude.
Skinny cow. Yeah.
That's it. It's like, yeah, we are society and society is being milked of every dollar it has. Like a dirty washcloth, dude, just wrung out until it's totally dry and there's nothing left. Well, it could be time for just a quick little shout out on this thing. We mention flock and the camera situation quite a bit. And I think it's fair to say that the majority of people, at least in our sphere and our audience and people that we hear from a lot of you on this topic about the flock thing. Most people are anti-flock. I think it's a topic that we feel comfortable talking about. Mm-hmm. And there's an event. Oh, maybe it just happened. Oh, yeah, it was yesterday. But there's a great page called Flock Off. I think it's Flock Off VA.
Yeah.
And, there's a bunch of great resources and they reach out to us. There's a bunch of people. There's a guy named Lacey that reaches out to us all the time and gives us good information on this stuff. We're not experts on the whole surveillance camera thing. We're just observing what we see. And, there's nothing that like rubs dirt in the wound more than like, okay, I got to pay the toll. I can live with that. They're making it electronic. I can live with that. But then you drive and it's like, you got to get an Easy Pass and put your card on file. I can live with that. But then it's like, all right, dude, it's, 7 a.m. and I got to drive through and a huge LED panel is like shining into your car. There's nothing more dystopian than that. And it's just like, what is this, dude? It does not feel human. Whoever made these decisions is not a human. They are lizard people and they are here to drink your blood and shine lights into your vehicle and make biometric scans of your face.
Yeah.
And they don't want to kill you. They want you to live as long as possible so they can take everything from you.
Yep.
And anyway, back to reality.
No, I was like, keep going, bro.
I mean, dude,
yeah,
it's insane, man. It's so frustrating. And it's one of these things where you learn about it and you're like, oh, that's not going to happen here.
It's already happening.
It's happening. It's like, dude.
And the thing is, it happened and they didn't tell you on purpose because they don't want your opinion.
Yeah.
They don't even want you to really know that it's happening.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? Complain and slow them down.
Yeah. Or do, and we should have gave him a shout out, the guy that was talking about the Dominion energy stuff.
Yeah. So submit an article or submit a question.
Yeah. Make a public comment, you know, and that applies to this too.
Yeah.
And that is the truth is like, how much can we complain? Because the average person doesn't participate in the process, right? They don't participate. Like they're not going to city council meetings. They're not tuning into the Zoom calls. And those things do happen. And the argument is that it doesn't make a difference. And sadly, that is the truth, is that most of these things don't make a difference. Like even now, well, let me actually backtrack on that just a little bit, because I did just see this video that we reposted from the Vera House page, where in Harrisonburg, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of citizens that did speak up against the flock thing, and they got it out of their town. Mm-hmm. And now Harrisonburg is very different than Richmond.
Yeah, smaller college town, different 100% system.
But I mean, it shows that it can be done. And they made a video saying exactly that. They were like, look, speak up, because like you actually can reverse these things. So the person that mentioned the things was WOFAVA and VA Indivisibles. So those are the two pages that mention the Dominion Energy and the data centers, if anybody wants to look that up. But yeah, the flock thing is the same way, right? So we are being inundated with all of these processes and technology and surveillance. And don't get me wrong, you can see from the time we spent in this room today, I love technology, right?
So do I.
Like, it's one of my favorite things in the world. When you got here, I was taking apart a computer. You know, it's like, I love technology and I love the things that it can do. And I love the fact that like we've basically have access to super intelligence. And it actually kind of pisses me off that people take this like anti-AI stance. Because here's the thing, for somebody to say that they are anti-AI, right? Like, oh, AI slop, and they're the person commenting on videos of people creating AI art and AI whatever. But then later that day, they're the same person that's on ChatGPT for their job to like say, hey, write me this email. You are a hypocrite. Like, you're a hypocrite to say, oh, this is AI slop, but I can use it for my job and I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT. It's hypocritical, right? Here's the other thing is AI is being forced upon you, whether you use it or not, right? So if you're somebody who feels like, oh, I'm righteous because I'm anti-AI, I hate to say it, but your impact means nothing. And the reason why is because AI is what's being used for these tolls. AI is what's being used for flock surveillance, to scan your biometrics. AI is what's being used to calculate your credit score and to approve you for insurance, for your mortgage application, literally everything. It's what's being used to scan you for your background check to get a job. So every big industry is using AI on you. So for you to say, oh, but I'm not going to use it, is just ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. You should step up and learn how to use it, because it is a powerful piece of knowledge and it is a powerful resource. So to not use it for your own gain, to create a better life, to make more money, to learn more information, to organize your life, even something as simple as like clearing out your email spam or to do research on a project you're doing, like your stance against AI is not noble, because it is being used against you in a massive way, whether you use it or not. So sure, if you really feel some type of way about it, by all means, don't use it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you're just like, hey, that's not for me, I don't like it, that's perfectly fine. But I think it's interesting and peculiar when people go out of their way to make like this anti-AI stance, not realizing that everything around them is AI being used in a negative way in most cases to impact you and to maximize profit margins and to take your money, to take your energy, to take your attention, right? Like to say, oh, I'm anti-AI, but then you use a mobile phone, you're a hypocrite, unfortunately. Every app on your phone is using artificial intelligence to build its own UI and UX, to manage the database of users and passwords and credentials. Even when you upload a photo to set your profile photo on your app that you have, whether it's Tinder or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Substack or whatever, it's all using AI. So to think like, oh, I'm righteous because I'm not going to use AI, it's a mistake. It's crazy. It's like the people in the medieval times, right? When they invented the sword, it would be like, well, I'm not using swords. I'm going to continue using a slingshot because swords are a waste of steel and this is unethical and swords do damage and swords hurt people. It's like, well, yeah, good luck defending yourself against a sword when you have a slingshot. And people felt the same way about the computer, right? The computer came out and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were like, cool, I'm going to be a billionaire. And someone was like, that's the devil working right there. Like, no technology, no computers. I'm going to keep writing. It's like, well, cool. Good luck.
Thanks for inviting me to your TED Talk.
Yeah, sorry.
I get it.
Anyway.
I get it. Like, I was talking to a friend, or I hung out with a friend a couple of days ago, and mentioned that I was using AI for something, and I saw their reaction, and the reaction was to kind of like, just like wince and just kind of disapprove. And I felt that because I understand that emotion.
Yeah.
I understand that reaction. It's a combination of dismissal based on fear. The word is ignorance, but ignorance maybe has a negative connotation, but just not knowing, not understanding, and not realizing or really being able to resonate with what is actually happening, or what AI actually is and does. That happens all the time. It's not new news.
Yeah.
New stuff intimidates people because they already feel like they don't have a grasp on what's happening, or they just learned how to use a new technology. They're not ready to learn something new. A lot of people don't want to learn anything new. They're happy the way that it is. Contradictory to the way that people have kind of settled into this, this pattern of getting used to something and having that be the standard is it's contradictory to the way that people operate, or way society operates. It's always evolving. It never stops. It's always
100%.
changing and molding and shifting. But people always romanticize, well, let's get it to a good place and that'll be good.
Right.
I think that that's a holdover from like times long ago when it was a struggle to get things to a place where they were just good or great, and you could enjoy it being great for a long period of time without having to maintain it.
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore. It hasn't been for a very long time. It's a tough pill to swallow too, because if you're in a sort of a period of your life where you're building and you're maybe shifting things, and you had a good thing and you need to build something new, or you're building something new to have a good thing. Maybe you came from a tough place, or you're transitioning or whatever. You just want it to be good. You want to get past the building part.
Yeah.
And you just want it to be, all right, you want to sit in your couch in your new house and watch your TV without it messing up. You want to go to your fridge and have it be full of food. You want to drive your car that has gas in it. You want to go to the job that you're secure in without the threat of getting fired. And you want to go and hang out with your family without the fear of any of them leaving you. You just want it to work.
Yep.
And as soon as you get your hands on it, you're like, I can't let this go. So that's what AI is doing. It's challenging everyone who has what they need, and it's just good.
Yep.
Because it could potentially be hard to make a transition into something that you don't understand. It could also be that adopting something new just changes the paradigm in a way that you're not prepared for.
Yeah.
So it's based in fear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You said it perfectly, right? You said like adapting to change, basically. And there are people who fight change, which is just also oddly ironic, right? Because the same person who's fighting against the change is often the same person who's often fighting very strongly for change. And don't get me wrong, two things can be true at the same time. And often some of the smartest people actually hold like kind of contradictory ideas.
You kind of have to.
Yeah. And especially with like how dynamic the world is today and how much information we have. Yeah. It's hard to just like toe the line of like one thing. And, all the more to you if you can do that. I think we all strive to like have very strong principles and beliefs. But yeah, like throughout time, things are always advancing and changing. And to only look at your little window of your life and to say, oh, I exist for this little window, and I'm just going to plant my feet in the ground and refuse for anything to be different or change is just kind of crazy, And historically, most of the people who have done that, I mean, in a lot of circumstances, are people who are killed in war, right? Like, think about the people who, and I'm not comparing AI to slavery, right? But at the same time, like, we're just at the Valentine Museum, like talking about this topic, and, people who resisted like letting go of slavery. Now, I understand that, again, it's not even a remotely close comparison, but, throughout history, things keep getting older, things continue to be different, things keep changing. And AI is, yes, a very interesting, fascinating topic, but people hate it because of how it's being used. So you not using it doesn't necessarily solve the problem, right? The point is, it is super intelligence. It's not, I think like it's what you mentioned, which is a lack of knowledge and then also an increase in fear. AI is basically just a computer, right? But it's able to autonomously do things on its own. Right? It's just a database of information and it can go through that information without you having to do it manually. So in many ways, it's not different. It's not any different than a clerical worker that works in the healthcare system who used to put patient information into a CRM manually. They would do it by hand. What's your name? Susie Walker. Boom, 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 boom. Type it in, right? What's your date of birth? Boom, 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 boom. It's like, yeah, that's been changing for a long time, even way before AI, right? Fill out a form, scan it, or hey, fill it, they have a little tablet in the front of the thing. And it's like, okay, well, the clerical worker is not going to do it anymore. Now it's your responsibility to walk up and type it in. So that has always been changing. And now it's entirely different. How many people are anti-AI, but have a clear membership? Or just happily scan their face when they're going through the airport.
That's the thing.
So it's like, what are you talking about?
They don't know.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And this is not passing judgment.
No, of course. Of course.
Like we're not saying those people are like bad people or they're like
100%
stupid or
but
whatever.
it's like, think about think about
that's
it.
The thing. It's so new and nuanced and it's unfamiliar. It doesn't resemble anything that we've ever experienced ever. And that's like kind of a hard concept to get your head around initially.
Yeah.
Unless you're halfway there, like you and me, we're kind of already think about stuff like that. We kind of already exist in a world where it naturally lends us to being able to understand it pretty quickly. But there's always an adjustment period. And when you're on the other side of that spectrum, I talk about AI with my mom, talk about ChatGPT. It's like, oh yeah, I use Chat to figure this out. Oh, I'm using Chat for this, yada, yada, yada. There's no way that she is going to really understand what's happening.
Sure.
Not really.
Yeah.
I could explain it to her. She would say, okay, yeah, I think I understand it. And I'm not discrediting her intelligence. She's very smart. But there are things about that just won't compute.
Yeah. Totally different paradigm.
Right.
Like totally different.
And that's kind of where the fear comes from. No one wants to look stupid.
Right.
No one wants to be made to feel stupid. And what are we talking about? The most advanced intelligence we've ever had.
Yeah.
Everyone is stupid in the face of this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are some people who, if I gave this example of, well, if AI was working for you while you were sleeping and it was helping you and assisting you in making $1,000 to $5,000 a day, would you change your opinion? There are some people who would say no. Most people would say, okay, maybe I'd change my opinion.
I know a guy who would say no.
Right.
And we had this argument. It was so funny. I felt so good about being right. I've told you this before. I've mentioned this before. I heard some colleagues not long ago make a statement, a claim, when you're talking to someone and you're having like a disagreement. It's like, okay, you have a choice. You can be right or you can make progress.
Yeah.
You can't have both. Because being right means you might not make progress. And making progress means you might have to be okay with being wrong.
Yep.
And when it comes to this, the AI stuff, it's just, the argument was very simple. It wasn't even AI. We were talking about something else. And this guy was like dead set. Was dead set on like manual labor, for instance. Like, yeah, manual labor. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to clock in. I'm going to do this. And I was like, yeah, man, you realize there's a ceiling on that. You can't, there's only so many hours. There's only one of you. There's only so much money you can make. He's like, yeah, man, I don't know about that. I think I can make a lot of money. I can, be really productive. And I was like, well, what about this? He's like, oh no, I would never do that. I was like, you wouldn't even entertain it. It's like, man, I wouldn't even think about using something like this. And I was like, you sure about that? And he was going back and forth with like another person in the conversation. I was like, look, if I told you that you could use this example, use this piece of the technology, piece of kit, whatever, to remove you from the scenario, double your money, and be able to scale it over time, you still wouldn't use it. And he was like, no. I was like, well, then you don't have an argument. You can't argue a point that's moot. You're clearly not even invested in trying to make a valid argument as to why. You're just hands down no. Again, you can be right or you can make progress. You're not making progress and you're wrong.
Yeah. And people are going to hate this, but the smartest people and the hardest working people don't make the most money.
I know that.
Right.
I'm one of those people. I make a little bit of money. I make a decent amount of money. And I heard this. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, that's all right.
I heard this recently, like within the last 5-6 years. And it dawned on me, it's like, that's so true. It's also, it feels unfair when you like really look into it, but it makes sense as to why.
Yeah.
I mean, dumb people make lots of money.
The smartest people and the hardest working people work for the people who don't do any of that. Every time, dude.
Yep.
Every single time, and it's literally how it works. Now, it doesn't mean that person, the dumb person, right, didn't go through the same steps, right? They start as an employee, then eventually become self-employed, then eventually become a business owner, then eventually become an investor. That's usually the 4 steps, right? Many of those people are pretty dumb and they weren't good at the employee thing. So they had to figure out something else.
Yeah.
I think of myself as one of those people where I'm like, yeah, this whole job thing is like not working. So I have to create my own job. And, one other just quick AI example is I talk to a lot of people who struggle with ADHD and procrastination and perfectionism and imposter syndrome.
Oh, so me, basically.
Yeah. I mean, any creative person, right? Any really smart, capable person that has knowledge and expertise, those are actually the people who question themselves the most. Those are the people who actually get hung up on what they're doing the most. It's all the dumb people that crush it. They're just making content, posting stuff all the time, and they crush it, right? And you look at their videos, they're posting every day. They're getting 20, 30, 40, 50,000 views. And it's like, what the hell? This person doesn't even know what they're talking about, right? It's because the people that have all the knowledge are the ones that like overthink things, right? So just an AI example is, imagine the frustrations that a person like that has, and imagine if you could teach AI to give you boundaries. So even just the average person that's using like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, you can teach that to get you to stop participating in your bad habits and bad behaviors, right? So when I say bad behaviors, what I'm talking about is context switching. Like the reason that people aren't productive or don't get a lot done is almost entirely down to what is called context switching. So we're doing something and then we get a notification and then we're doing something else. And then we're checking our email and then we're doing this. And then we get distracted. So we're like, oh, I need a snack or I need a piece of chocolate or I need a cookie. This is happening every day, all day for everyone all across the planet, but especially in the United States. So for the people who are working with AI tools, you can give it rules and boundaries so that when you go and chat with it and say, hey, look into this thing for me, instead of just doing what you tell it to, and it always gaslighting you and just saying, yes, sir, and doing everything you want it to do, it'll push back and say, hey, actually, your goals are this right now. And I'm not even going to do this research for you until you finish this. So you need to finish this and you need to come back to me and tell me it's done. So now all of a sudden it's empowering. Right? And it can empower you to do better work and it can help you actually get more done. And so the same person who's like, I would never do that. It's like, really? Well, first of all, the way to get rich is not based on your time because you only have so much time. So anybody who says, oh, well, I think I can make a lot of money. False. If you're charging based on your time and how much time you spend during the week, it is categorically false. There's just no way. How many hours a week can you work? 100? That's all you got. You got a maximum, right? 100 hours a week is insane.
That's insane.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, let's just say you are Superman and you could work 110 hours a week. Enjoy. Have a good one. Enjoy all the money you made. What do you
don't have time to enjoy it.
What are you going to, what?
Yeah.
What is that? What are you talking about? So it's formulaically impossible. You cannot get super rich based on the time you spend. It's just never going to happen,
Yeah.
If you think about all the, high paying jobs, even like the typical traditional jobs, doctor, lawyer, attorney, dentist, those types of things, like even those really aren't based on time.
It's based on their knowledge and expertise.
Yeah. And it's a lot of it, you almost call it project based, right? Let's say you're a plastic surgeon and you have a nose surgery, a nose job, right? It's like, you might be there for an hour. That surgery makes you 10, 15 grand, right? And yeah, you got staff that get paid for their time that they're there, but you are an employee for yourself. It's a business. So yes, you have a job that you got through a degree, but a lot of those people, they own their own practice and they know that like, oh, well, if I go be, a dentist assistant for a dentist, yeah, I'm getting paid hourly for my time, So it's like people have to find a way to do project-based work. And I hate to say it, but AI can empower people to do that. Now you could do it on your own too. Like get on YouTube and just learn some shit. Like you don't have to use AI, you know. But yeah, anybody who's, hitting the, what do they call it? Like hitting the grindstone, saying, oh, well, I do XYZ, or I work blue collar or white collar, and I'm just putting in the work. And yeah, I make $100 an hour. I make $200 an hour. It's like,
it's a great life. And like, we're not discrediting that.
No, for sure. For sure.
Great life for lots of people.
And I think people probably know this by now. Like I am very gung ho about like my perspective on this, but it's not right for everybody. Like I'm not the person who'll sit here and convince somebody to quit their job and whatever. Like what's right for me is not right for a lot of people and vice versa, So I'm just giving my crazy opinions on this stuff, which is loosely related to just technology in general, not even AI, right? Because I see what it can do for people.
Yeah.
And it all starts with learning how to use it. And it's like, you can be hesitant. It can be scary. If you're not good at computers, honestly, your local library has technical proficiency classes for free. Like probably Libby Mill Library is like one of the good ones, like the beautiful library, like pretty advanced library. Dude, they do free classes there teaching you Photoshop, teaching you typing and how to use a computer, how to use a laptop. Like there are so many people that their lives and their productivity and the amount of money they make and just their proficiency using their own devices would be significantly better if they just went and took one of those free classes.
Well, I mean, this is a PSA to go to your local library then.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, yeah, I agree with a lot of that. And I think it's a conversation that we could definitely get into more. We've definitely talked about it a few times. I think to sum it up, all of this passion comes from a place of want for other people to succeed.
Yeah.
You want other people to succeed. I want other people to succeed. And we know how that can be done. We also know that there are some fundamental roadblocks that are going to be challenging to overcome.
Yeah.
But, with knowledge comes access, and with access usually comes a little bit more money. And, stay tuned. We'll keep getting into this. We'll convince, if not hypnotize, one or two people into falling down the rabbit hole of succumbing to technology's capability and vast resources to use at your disposal.
Yeah.
But I think that wraps it up for today.
Yeah.
This podcast was recorded at Vera House Studios in Richmond, Virginia, and produced by Perri Young and Myke Metzger.